single person he's friends with is a white guy.
It's hard to do.
Every single person.
Congrats.
So not only is my dad a misogynist, a defender of men, but he's also a white supremacist.
She's trashing him over facts. So he thinks that, like, I was like, what the F? He thinks that people get into school, they play up their race. Yeah, and by the way, you should know this because this affirmative action train's about to hit you in the narrow body, Buttercup. It's 2026, which means, like, women are allowed to do stuff now. So that's cool. Including ramble to the camera, even if you are a useless lesbian who has left this country but still has opinions on this country. And Rosie O'Donnell wants you to know, this is, imagine if the shoe was on the other foot, that all men suck because of Eric Swalwell. But the key takeaway is all men suck.
Well, hey, everybody. It's me, Rosie O'Donnell, star of the Flintstones.
Hold on. Pause 1 second. First off, the fact that she said star of the Flintstones, I'm hoping that's tongue-in-cheek because that's so sad. Second, also, Halle Berry was in that film. Don't direct people to that.
Yeah, you were the main character's best friend's wife.
Yes. And also, speaking of comparisons, can we just stop where women are like, I'm just gonna age gracefully, naturally. The vanity, there's clearly a filter. Put up a side-by-side. This is real, Rosie. That's yeah. She looks like the dark crystal sucked the soul out of a podling.
Well, I'm not going to be mean because she's in her 60s, right? Can we bring that back up?
Yeah.
She's in her 60s. I mean, that happens to people. But the thing on the right is annoying because that's not you. You're pretending to be somebody else.
Yeah.
The one on the left, that looks like you. That looks like a gorilla from Tarzan.
Yes, it does. Looks like the white apes from Congo.
Yes.
I don't want to make this a spiritual thing. But God gave you the face you now deserve. Let's continue with Rosie saying men suck.
Well, hey, everybody. It's me, Rosie O'Donnell.
But it's not you.
Star of the Flintstones. Yabba dabba do it. Now, can we talk a little bit about Eric Swalwell?
Did you get that action figure?
I know that guy. In the what kind of way? Like, spoke to him on the phone a couple times. Donated money to him, I believe. And I wrote him.
Slept with him.
I wrote him a little message, and I said, Bill Clinton broke my heart, and now you did too.
Oh,
no.
no.
The conclusion I've come to, men suck.
He's devastated.
Men suck. The way that they are physiologically,
like you, a weight class of their own.
They can't sort of control their sexual urges.
They can't around you.
But what if I don't identify as one?
Mm-hmm. And all of these things now coming out with Epstein and child abuse in America, and in what communities is it more rampant?
And this is what you see from the feminist left. They just go, all men suck, and they point to the examples of their men, leftist men. For example, Me Too, that's Hollywood men, the Eric Swalwells of the world, the Bill Clintons of the world. When there's an entire group, most of the country, half of the voting male public, more than half if you're talking about men because more of them vote Republican, who are not doing that. Instead, you're saying, come over here. The water's warm in degenerate lesbianism with rampant domestic abuse.
Why is she wearing a Christmas sweater?
Because she wants to defile that too.
I just don't like her very much.
Nobody does. She's hated men. What just happened to my microphone? She's hated men and was during my setup.
She's wearing a snowman.
I'm going to go back to, is my microphone working?
Yeah, it's working. We hear you.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I'll try it again. She's hated men ever since she was stood up by one. That is really unfortunate when you take the risk of playing a disabled person and you suck at that.
My brother would laugh his ass off.
I know he would. By the way, that burp, I just realized something, Noodles. Remember I was telling you that game on Super Nintendo, Blackthorn? It was the first Blizzard game. That's where the orcs in World of Warcraft came from. When you go back and play it, that exact sound, that's what it made me think. Yeah. So go give it anyone, deep cut. Blackthorn, Super Nintendo, anyone ever play that? It was a lot of fun back in the day. No one ever played it. Anyway, Rosie O'Donnell sucks. She's a lesbian. She should go eat Snatch. Now, and she will. I don't need to advise her. I'm not her Snatch financial advisor.
Covered in donut glaze.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. She's an awful person. All men suck. That's the lesson. Hey, what if you say all women suck? Here's the funny thing. We don't say, we're not like all women suck. We're going to have feminists have ruined a generation of women as far as being suitable for men, and we need to probably course correct here. Instead, their message is all men suck. And you wonder why relationship dynamics are as dire as they've ever been.
And that's right after she said some other stuff. We didn't have time for the whole video. She went on for an hour.
I didn't have a wide enough lens.
Yeah, well, neither did she. But she was mentioning, I was just in New York. I was visiting my son and my grandson, and we named his middle name. He's named after his grandfather. A great guy, great man. And I'm like, well, then you went, all men suck.
Yeah.
So what, your father-in-law sucks, your son sucks, his son sucks, every man sucks in your life?
Yeah. You know what's funny? I remember this. She used to have a daytime show, Rosie O'Donnell. This is a long time before she came out as a lesbian. She would call everyone a cutie patootie. That was her thing. She didn't even go, you cutie patootie. I remember my dad walking by. I was home from school. I must have been sick. It would have been at least a decade. And he just goes, she's a lesbian, and kept walking.
The story is that you were watching the Rosie O'Donnell show.
I was homesick. His Price is Right, and it was on.
Was
like,
it punishment?
Right. Well, I didn't have cable. But he just went, she's a lesbian, I go, what? He goes, I guarantee it. That was it. And there was no further conversation. Brings us to another woman who, now, not all, women don't suck. I love women. I particularly love feminine women. I think all men do. This next woman sucks like Rosie O'Donnell sucks, but for a different reason. We don't want to generalize. That would be morally reprehensible. Her handle is WasianGirl69. Okay?
That's real. That's her TikTok handle.
Yeah. And then she wants to be respected. Half white, half Chinese. We pronounce it correctly. And she called out her dad, who's white, for being, you guessed it, a white supremacist.
So I'm Asian, my dad is white, my mom is Chinese, and I think my dad is a white supremacist. For quite a while, I was in denial about this. I always thought, like, that's not possible. Like, there's no way my dad is a white supremacist when my mom is literally not white.
Did he become one
Chinese.
after you were born?
White supremacy is when white people inherently believe they're superior to other races because they're white. When they think of white supremacy, they immediately might think of, I don't know, neo-Nazis, Proud Boys, Donald Trump, MAGA, all of that, right? But you don't have to like any of those things, and you don't have to be a part of any of those things, and you can still be a white supremacist. He does not associate with any of those groups, and he openly condemns them. My dad strictly reads books written by white men, only white men. And one time I asked him, I was like, why do you only read books by white guys? And
because they write them. He
told me point blank, oh, that's because other races don't write good books.
Also, valid answer.
One of my sister's friends is really smart, and we were talking about how she can probably get into like an Ivy League school. And my dad's like, oh yeah, and she can play up the race card too, so she can get into this school. And I remember thinking, like, what the f***? What I can conclude from that is that he thinks a lot of people of color play up their race card to get into these schools.
No.
And that they
there was a whole national policy about it.
And they're just getting in because they're not white. I think he feels he was wronged somehow. And it also tells me he's an extremely insecure person. Growing up, we would take trips back to China. My dad, he speaks Chinese. He eats Chinese food. He's not, I guess what I'm trying to say is that my dad is not one of those white guys that went to Asia and was like, oh, I hate every aspect about Asia.
Of course not.
Right? But
most guys don't
dislike a lot of parts about Asian culture, and he clearly feels
that
Western culture is superior.
Yes,
but I will say this. Every single person he's friends with is white. He's traveled all over the place. He's been to a ton of countries.
Except his wife, you crazy bitch.
Every single person he's friends with is a white guy.
It's hard to do.
Every single person.
Congrats.
So not only is my dad a misogynist, a defender of men, but he's also a white supremacist.
Yeah, okay. And she talks about, I can't believe he thinks that he's superior. Okay. There is, by the way, racial superiority. That does happen. And it happens with Asians. Surprisingly, though, it doesn't always happen the way that you think. His wife is Chinese, right? So you are half Chinese. To give you an idea as to Asian supremacy, although they make exceptions, here's how your grandma reacted when your father brought home, your mother brought home a white guy.
We so happy with right boy.
Blacks are right out. Just to be clear, white Americans are by far, white Westerners, the most tolerant of interracial marriages. Lane, you spent a lot of time around the Asians.
I've had shoes on both feet.
Yes.
And very much so.
Yeah.
Except the one time I brought a Japanese girl home and my grandpa's a little older, so I had to explain to him that, the delicacies of the situation, that war wasn't starting again or something like that.
You can bang her, but I'm still not driving a Toyota.
But, in Asia, like, they all want you to be with the Chinese, Korean, but if you bring home anybody else, it better be a white guy and they'll be fine with it.
I have seen that firsthand. It's the same thing, by the way, you guys, especially often with Hispanic women. You guys comment if you see, and a big reason is because a lot of their moms are like, hey, careful, a lot of Hispanic men, statistically this is true, tend to cheat. The culture of machismo tend to be more physical. So they're often quite happy if their younger Latina daughter, I won't say Latinx, brings home a white guy who doesn't beat her or cheat on her. So the point is, this lady is an idiot. I'm using that term quite loosely. You wanted to get the Grant East versus West. Explain that because you're the Asian fetish.
Well, I just wanted to say if she's taking Asian culture as a monolith, when I'm sure the Japanese would take issue with her equating their culture to Chinese culture.
Yeah, they actually hate Chinese.
That actually, when you give Chinese children bubonic plague, they die. The Japanese found that out. But if you even grant that there's West versus Eastern culture, they came to the West because of our culture. There's inherently things that are better about it. That's why the Japanese succeeded, is because they adopted the best parts of Western culture to graft onto their own. So the idea that you have to be a relativist and be like, everything is equal and cool and fun, it's so stupid, and nobody believes that at all.
I will say one thing that a lot of Westerners think is probably superior in Eastern culture is, ironically here, they're women. So, you guys got that right a little bit. The foot binding we can do without.
But also, the filial piety, the way they treat their fathers.
Yeah, they're elders.
They're elders. Yeah. That's a thing we like and would like more of, which is ironic because she would definitely be against the patriarchy, which their whole society is modeled on patriarchy.
Right.
She's trashing her father, too.
Publicly.
I was half expecting her to get on there and be like, yeah, my mom told me he's bad in bed and he's stupid, too.
Right. Well, here's the thing, too. She's trashing him over facts. So he thinks that, I was like, what the F? He thinks that people get into school, they play up their race. Yeah, and by the way, you should know this because this affirmative action train's about to hit you in the narrow body, Buttercup. If you look at the Harvard admittance SAT scores, right, the rates, it varies by race. Where that is, again, we've controlled for other variables. There's a study on this. This comes from the Crimson. Asians, their average SAT score, 766, white 744, Hispanic 717, black 703, meaning that's the average score you will have and still be admitted. These are lower standards for black Americans than for Asian Americans, and there have been lawsuits because Asian Americans have been kept out because they have overperformed.
She's double screwed.
She's absolutely double. Well, she's double screwed because she's half Asian and she's quite stupid.
There was this lady, I saw a story last week. There was a lady who got into Harvard and she couldn't read or write.
How does that happen?
She would do all of her assignments by talk to text.
Is she?
And teachers helped her out through high school and stuff, and then she got a scholarship program and was able to go to Harvard.
Is she blind?
She was from another country.
Is she blind?
South American. No.
Helen Keller, actually.
No, she's not blind.
Helen
She's not
Keller never
deaf.
happened.
She's just from a South American country. I can't remember which one.
Well, either way, I don't like it.
But yeah, got into Harvard. So there's no one plays a race card. Literally can't read.
The good news is she'll be saddled with student debt that she can never pay off. So all is well that ends well.
And footnote, she's backpacking, finding herself in Europe as we speak.
Wage 69?
Yes.
In Europe.
That,
How much you want to bet she gets treated quite friendly by the white Europeans?
I wonder who's footing the bill. I'm just curious.
Tiny footing the bill.
maybe the guy who spent 10 years speaking Chinese in China instead of living in America.
You mean the white supremacist?
Well, you know what, though? This is the thing, too. This is the problem with them. And Nick DiPaolo was doing bits about this in the 90s, right? About how every time we show up, right, the dad's the idiot. Like, AOL, America Online, so easy, my dad can do it. Bitch, I mean, the guy who bought the computer, right? But he's been talking about this. That's why he's here. He's the OG. He was never afraid to talk about it. But what do you think happens when an entire generation of young women grow up with For example, everybody loves Raymond, that idea, the commercials where the dad is useless. It's, oh, what a moron. And it's actually conditioned disrespect. Now, that goes out the window when there's a war and a draft.
Deborah, how do I flush?
What is it, Ray?
I've been drafted to the front lines. I got to go to beaches of Normandy.
Can you help me put the kids to bed?
I can't, Deborah, my PTSD.
Next one is Scarlett McGuire. She's a British strategist. And she talked about, and we've discussed this, how young, well-to-do women, let's be honest, that means liberal, are the most psychologically troubled.
They're all in a bad situation, but women are in a better position than men overall. So, female youth employment stats are much better than male ones. Again, female earnings now for these younger generations have surpassed male earnings. So actually, yes, I think it's sort of absolutely right that they're feeling frustrated. But
bangs aren't always bad.
I still can't quite explain how much more pessimistically they feel, and that is even more pronounced actually amongst sort of middle class, more affluent young women in this country are the ones that feel those negative feelings towards the economy, towards how that system works, and much more pessimistic about their life chances than those from more working class backgrounds and in more working class professions.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And it reflects what we know as far as homeschooling. Often people go, well, they can't be afforded. It's usually single income households and people who are middle class or lower middle class who homeschool, and the children have. The children have.
Hey, my children.
I've been reading too many of those black authors.
I love my children.
They have significantly better outcomes. Privileged white Western women, there's never been a group of people more privileged. And at the same time, more miserable. And I mean this, we see this with mental health afflictions. We see this with depression rates. We see this with financial outcomes later in life, even though they often don't have long-term meaningful relationships. So she also asked those surveyed if they had a positive opinion of the opposite sex. And before I get into these numbers, do we have that chart of the men grading women on a scale from 1 to 10? Right. This is, and I want to add a new one for you. When you talk about, keep this up. First question, do you think that marriages, families are important for a functioning society? Do you think that a good marriage is important? We should be encouraging that. Okay. If you want to fix the broken male-female dynamics, you cannot do it by directing your ire at men. It can't be done. Look at that chart. They had many, I don't remember if it was thousands, hundreds, I think it was thousands of men rate women on a scale from 1 to 10, women rate men on a scale from 1 to 10 at random. The men rating women, perfect bell curve. The women rating men, it's a reverse hockey stick. 82%, maybe 83%, were rated as below average, which is statistically impossible. That means that only one side, only one of the two sexes has unrealistic expectations. That brings us to these other numbers that this lady included in her survey. We had to do some extra digging. If you look at a positive opinion of the opposite sex, okay, men under the age of 30, 72% of men have a positive view of women. Women under the age of 30, only 50%. Women under the age of 25, 35%. And think about that for a second. Think about that. Women under the age of 25, only 35% have a positive view of men. That means if you want to get married, if you want to start a family, you really better be thinking about that before 25. Doesn't mean that your chances are gone, but of course, these are your most fertile years, and the overwhelming majority of women and that age demographic are going, no, absolutely not. Whereas there are plenty of young men there going, yeah, I'm willing to start this up. Here's the other thing that's quite telling. If you dig into the research more, women start off, young women, with unfavorable views of men, and the favorability goes up as they get older. With men, you see the exact opposite. What does that tell you? Let's make an inference. Which perspective, which statistic would be more reflected from facts, real life experience, and data? A more learned demographic. Would it be the young woman who thinks she has it all figured out, 18 years old? Or would it be the man who's maybe been around the block a few times and now he's 50 years old? Women go, hate men overall, negative. As they get older and their chances, you know what, maybe men aren't so bad. Men go, we love women. Then it goes, you know what, I've been around them enough and I'm starting to change my view. Here's another number for you. So this, we had to go somewhere else. This is from YouGov. 13 to 17-year-old boys, as far as positive views on women overall. So 13 to 17-year-old, 81% positive. Gen Z men, 66%. Millennial men, 59%. Gen X men, 57%. Boomer men, 62%, because it's kind of a boomerang effect. But take those, again, combine that with the other stat, 72% of men under 30. That, if you look at the metadata, yeah, that seems to be pretty consistent. Young women, negative views, gets more positive as they get older. Like, you cannot fix this. Taking those two graphs, you cannot fix this by browbeating men. Young women have insanely unrealistic expectations of men, meaning they rate men. You see that chart? Bring it back up. They rate them as below average, and about 60% of them on a good day even have a favorable view.
0% gave a perfect 10.
0%. By the way, the other number that we don't have there, but is when women were then asked to rate themselves and men were asked to rate themselves. If a woman was rated by men like a 3 or a 4, they rated themselves a 10. If a man was rated like a 6, he rated himself a 6. We have destroyed we've destroyed a generation of young women. They have unrealistic expectations. They have unrealistic views. They have factually inaccurate views of men. And as they get older, they realize they were lied to. But now they've lost it. Their window is closed. Young men are ready, willing, and able in comparison to women. Women are refusing. As they get older, men are going, you know what? I have some boundaries now, but that's narcissistic abuse and control. So that's where we are.
Can I just have one thing?
Yeah.
I'm in it real quick, and I just want your opinion on this, because I'm introspective when I date. I'm not saying I'm Brad Pitt or something, but I'm fine. I do.
No, you are good looking enough to the point that it's concerning. I thought there was something wrong with you.
I like the ladies.
I know, but I was like, why? Because you want a meaningful relationship.
Very
You're not a cad. And I'm like, what is going on? Does he have some weird, like, left turning? Go ahead.
I'll date, and most of these, like, I won't even speak poorly of these girls. I date very articulate women, nice, raised in good families, great, but then it's always never a priority. And I'm like, okay, maybe it's something I did, maybe I can improve. But then I see them date other guys that are just as successful, more successful. 3-4 years later, they've left all those guys too and not formed a meaningful relationship. And I'm still looking at them being like, there was 4 or 5 guys that I know that are great dudes that were ready to commit, ready to give themselves to, and you couldn't find the time to make that a priority, and you're still where you are. And so, yes, I think men need to be introspective, but at the same time, there's something going on with women that is just not fixable from a man's perspective.
Those young women, here's the thing. You look at the mental health outcomes, right? And we've covered that too. Young women are told quite literally, they are perfect just the way they are. Young women have not been asked to check their privilege for being women. Young women have not been told that they have any type of original sin or inclinations that they need to correct. Young men have been told to check their privilege. They've been told that they are toxic. They've been told that they are violent. They have been told that they have been destroying societies forever, and so we should allow women to have a chance. What do you think happens when that young woman finds out it's not true, she's not perfect, and she has a lot of work to do? It's not a surprise to men. In other words, men realizing that they need to work on themselves at 15 is just as acceptable to them as 55. They've always known it. Imagine if you were the most attractive man who's ever... We had one guy who came in here from South Africa, and even the guys were like, that's the best looking man who's ever lived. That's ridiculous. He's like an anime cartoon come to life. All the women here were swooning. And I asked him, I said, what's that like? He's like, yeah, it's kind of hard sometimes, to tell you the truth. But imagine if you were the best looking guy who walks in and you're, a millionaire, and women are throwing themselves at you, okay? You'd have a different view of relationship dynamics. That's all women below the age of 25, average and up. They have their pick. And so they think that it's going to be that way forever, and they're being told that they are perfect, and so they are rating men on this crazy, unrealistic scale. Nothing is good enough, and men's value tends to increase as they get older, right? The things that make them attractive to women, they're more successful, they're established, they're more mature. A man being 40 is not nearly as much of a deal breaker for a 25-year-old woman as it is for a woman being 40 and a 30-year-old guy. That's just reality. And then they have to face it or deny it. And instead of facing it, feminists have decided to perpetuate the lie to justify their own awful lives and decisions. And you were talking about how you're fine paying for meals and stuff,
Sure.
but a thank you would be nice.
Yeah, it's because I want to hold I do hold the traditional values, and I think I don't want a girl to offer to pay. I think it's a great thing to hold those, stereotypes, for lack of a better phrase, to keep them. It's a good thing. But it would also be nice to just hear, I really appreciate you doing that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because if at the end of the day we enter into a marriage, well, I would have spent all of this money trying to court her, which is fine. But she's also making a bunch of money because that's the way the world works now. And just a little bit of acknowledgement or appreciation would go so far. But
yeah.
It's not like none of them do it, but it's not, I don't count on that happening anymore.
No, I would imagine that you're probably far more hesitant to jump into a long-term relationship because of what you've seen. I can tell you this, it gets to the point where they think everything women in the dating space. I didn't date for a very long time.
It's not that fun.
No. There's a woman who was older, pretty, had her stuff together, but mostly, but she was kind of sad that she'd never had a family and got married. And I remember talking with her about it. I said, well, really, is that something you've always wanted? She said, yeah, I always did. I said, but didn't you kind of go backpacking for like a decade and travel? And didn't you
a decade?
Yeah, went to school, but then became a bartender, And I said, so you really weren't living like someone who was actually pursuing a husband and a family. She said, are you negging me right now? And that's what I learned what it meant. I said, what, you're saying something negative to me to tear me down so that you can control me when you build me back up? I said, no, it's a legitimate criticism. You find yourself closer to 40 saying you've always wanted this, but you specifically lived your life in a way that would have precluded you from finding this. And we had that, but that's negging. They are so impervious to constructive advice, let alone criticism. And that's why, if you look at these people who are experts in social studies, they're saying this is bad, but no one wants to speak the truth. There's only one way to fix it, and it's got to be with fixing women. You can't go and what are you going to tell young men? Hey, you need to stop hating women. You're going to have 80% of them go, what? We love women. Hey, not all women look like your precious magazines, buddy. You're like, what? We fine. I rated that girl like next door. I rated her like an 8. It's fine. I date her. But if you go to the woman, no one wants to do this. Hey, not everyone is Alan Richson on steroids. You have to understand, well, I just don't date anything less than a 4. Not every guy makes 6 figures and has a 6-pack. Well, I know what I deserve. That's how, you gotta fix the part that's truly broken.
And it's not even doing it anymore. 6-pack, 6-figure. That's not like,
I know.
Nobody gives a shit anymore.
I know. You ever hear what a woman refers to as dad bod?
Yeah.
Like, we should do that. We should just bring in a bunch of women and ask them, like, is this dad bod? Is this dad bod? Is this dad bod?
Actually,
Show them the Mr. Olympia 3 days after Mr. Olympia when he's gained some water. And they're like, dad bod. It's like, that's Ronnie Coleman.
I think men can fix this. I think there's a solution. You find a gal you like that you really want to date and maybe settle down with.
A gal because it's the 1950s. Go on.
Yeah. Well, I'm being polite. You find a dame.
Find yourself a nice skirt.
Yeah, a damsel.
Yeah.
Yeah. See.
A good whore.
Yeah. What you do is you find her route to work. You see. You follow her there. Then you follow her home.
That's right. See.
Then you get access to her internet.
Then you smack her around. Say, "Catch you can get yourself together, sweetheart."
Find a girl with a nice tall tree. Sit in that. Get some binoculars.
All right. Let's get back to the point you were making. I cut you off with this stupid horseshit.
You just keep watching this chick. You keep following her around, learning all the things that she's into, and then you introduce yourself a couple times, and then we accidentally ran into each other at the coffee shop. That's crazy. Right. And then eventually, you're both 45, and she has to settle down with somebody. Perfect. And you know everything about her.
That's true.
You even know the code to her front door.
That's true. Beep, 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 beep. And even more importantly, at that point, you have a leverage. Hey, if you're still watching this, you may be one of the 6 million or so subscribers on YouTube who is, for one reason or another, I don't understand it, still here. So back in the day, I would say click one of these videos and subscribe, but really just head on over to my channel on Rumble. Follow me there. I'm live 5 days a week, 11 a.m. Eastern, and I actually say the things that I mean to say. On YouTube, it's everyone here is kind of neutered, really, and there's just a general lack of testicular energy, but I mean that in the heterosexual way. Mostly.